How's it going, everybody? I have a little bit different of a video today. This idea was spurred on by some things I'd seen in the claim sales that I'm often in, along with a couple of the bigger purchases that I've had recently. Just some kind of financial tips, tricks, a little advice to kind of help people get a little bit more of the bigger books they're looking to get. And I want to preface this by saying I know everybody's situation's different. What is expensive to some is not to others, and vice versa. The books I'm spending money on, I'm sure I'm spending way more than a lot of people would. In addition to, there is a lot more books out there I can't even fathom spending that much money on that other people are. But for me and where I am in life right now, I've been able to get what I consider some pretty amazing and big books based on kind of the structure I've been able to work out. And I want to preface this video by saying I'm in no means rich or wealthy. I would describe myself as comfortable. I have a pretty decent job. I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't have kids. There's not a lot of expenses in that area. And other than that, I also kind of live under my means. So I'm indulgent with hobbies and things I'm passionate about, as you guys have seen with all the comics I get in. But when it comes to things like commonplace clothes, shoes, things like that, I will wear them into the dirt until they are holy and I cannot get any more use out of them. I only for the past year or two have what is for me my newest vehicle, and I still bought it used, so I got it for a much better price. But things like that. And that's kind of why I wanted to make this video, because no matter where you are in life, things happen. There's that line between living, spending your money on things that you need to survive and that are more important, and then that kind of hobby side of things, the enjoyment, just things that you don't need in life, but you want them, they make you feel good, and you need those passions because that's the whole point of living. So there's a couple things I want to delve into today. But a big thing right now is that on a lot of the claim sales I've been going into, I saw a lot of people when in the comments kind of talking about credit, PayPal credit, and a lot of their purchases were going on to this. And it seemed just in general like a lot of people are stretching themselves very, very thin. And I do believe that leveraging credit is very, very good as long as you have the money to cover it. Most of the purchases that I get that you guys have seen that are bigger books, I also will purchase on PayPal credit. Only if I have that money to cover it, which I usually do. In addition to my hobby money, money in books, I have savings accounts, I have investment accounts. That said, I don't want to drop more money in cash than I have to, because you never know when life is going to throw something at you. So just because, let's say I want to buy a $2,000 book and I have that money in the bank and I can do it, doesn't mean I want to drop that money today. A perfect example of this is I am pretty terrible when it comes to registering and inspecting my vehicle on time. I kind of drag it on a little bit longer than I should. This year, I finally went and got my inspection done. My tires were just barely a little too worn where they didn't pass inspection. Kind of had an idea that they would have. Now, the vehicle I drive, I have a truck, custom rims on it. To get the quickest, fastest, cheapest tires thrown on over the weekend, like I said, nothing special, regular highway tires, but ones that would fit my truck, it was $1,200. That is getting the tires, getting them installed, any fees out the door. So even though I had that money, let's say if I bought one or two books that same week that, yeah, I have everything good, I'm comfortable, and I'm looking to spend that much money, having that extra $1,200 on top of it is huge, especially if you're somebody that, for the most part, you're kind of living paycheck to paycheck. So PayPal credit or credit cards kind of give you a chance to get and enjoy some things that you couldn't otherwise. If you map out life going perfectly, you're golden. But if that one book already stretched you thin, you think you can make it to that next paycheck, but you're not, you should be safe. If life throws you a bill like that, and that could be anything with your car that breaks down, any health issues unexpected. Life happens, so you need that kind of cushion fund just to make sure that you are covered and comfortable if it does happen. But that is a good example of why, even when I have the money, I much, much prefer, and like I said, PayPal credit is one of my go-tos right now. It allows me to do the whole purchase right up front, and as long as you pay off the entire balance within 6 months, there is no interest fees. And the other thing with this, though, that is a little tricky on why I recommend PayPal credit as opposed to some other credit card sources is, yes, you can stretch that on 6 months if you want to, but I personally also will only do a purchase if I believe I can pay it off within that month. You have a $1,000, $2,000 book. You can chip away at it, each paycheck. I get paid weekly. It's not bi-weekly, so that's also extremely helpful. But your credit score at the end of that month, because it's going to be affected, and it's going to matter also because credit is relative. If you're somebody that, whether it's PayPal credit, credit cards, let's say you have a $200 credit limit. At the end of the day, if you bought a $200 book, like I said, relatively to most things I've been buying, that's not a lot of money. But if at the end of the month you still have that $200, it's going to be you are using 100% of your credit, and it's going to drastically affect your credit score when that bill comes due at the end of the month if you haven't paid it off. Conversely, if you're somebody like I said, I have a decent amount of credit built up right now. Credit score is pretty decent. But if I bought a $2,000 book, but I have $5,000-$6,000 of credit, obviously, even though that is a heck of a lot more than that $200, I'm not utilizing the full 100% of my credit like somebody else that would have at that $200 credit, $200 book. That said, that's also a tricky rabbit hole to make sure that you don't end up going down, is that when you have that much kind of debt and lending power at your disposal, it can be very, very easy to just hit buy, hit buy, hit buy, and then before you know it, you have some awesome books, whatever is in life that you're into, at your disposal. But now you just racked up $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 worth of credit that you are chipping away at the bare minimum payment every single month, which again is doable. But in addition to, you probably spent way more than you should have. You stretched yourself way too thin. Now you've also drastically impacted your credit score because you are going to have that huge balance carried over month to month if you are only making those minimum payments. So what I do is anytime I would like a book, I prefer my PayPal credit than just buying it outright, depending on what it is and how much it is. Now, if it is what I consider a very, very comfortable amount relative to what I make a week, that I will just go and pay off right away. I'll use one of my cards, debit card, pull right from the account, a credit card if I get cash back, depending on the purchases I'm making. But anything I consider for me a big purchase, I use my PayPal credit. It allows me to break the payments down in more manageable amounts each week so that while I have a good amount from my check going towards it, I also still have a good amount of my check that I'm banking to my savings, my investments. That way, if life throws anything at me, I am covered. I don't feel like I stretch myself way too thin, that I have this crushing debt, that I have to sell some other books now that I don't want to cover that purchase. And if I pay it back within that month, which is always my goal, I try to do it in at least 2 or 3 payments, anything I purchase, so that at the end of the month, my credit is not impacted, my score does not get affected, and obviously the better score you have, the more lending and credit power most things will give you. It's like my Discover card. It started out at a $200 credit limit when I first got into it. It's gone up drastically. PayPal credit, which I'm approved for again. I forget if it started at a good amount or if that also got bumped up, but I have a very good amount in PayPal credit at my disposal. Another very useful tool for anybody looking to kind of break down and manage the payments a little bit more is Pay in 4, which is also a service that PayPal offers. The only thing I would caution against this is if you do a big purchase, like I said, it breaks it down into 4 payments. I don't think I haven't done it in a bit. I don't think they're weekly. I think it's monthly. So it breaks it down, whatever your purchase was, $1,000. So $250 this month, $250 next month, and so on. The only problem with that is depending on how much you are spending, same thing where it goes back to your credit. That is still money you owe. So having that show up at the end of the month, if you go past, like I said, it's broken out into 4 months, I'm not a fan of. So I might use that sometimes, but then break it up into two payments or pay it off early myself just to break it up. But typically, if I'm going to go that route, I'll do PayPal credit just to make sure, again, my bases are covered at the end of the month so I don't affect anything credit score related. Now, in terms of more, if you're not looking for anything credit related, anything like that, it kind of makes you a little iffy. I highly recommend if you guys buy from anybody on YouTube or people that usually do claim sales, start out if you haven't already, but check into a few of them. You might find some books you like, but build a reputation and a rapport with these people because a lot of them, like I frequent Future Past Vintage Collectibles, James from Mint Hunter Comics, the couple times that Mickey from Swaggle I got Joe from 360 Comics, as well as I will often check in with Strictly Comics anytime they do claim sales or YouTube auctions as well. Most of them at this point know me, not on like a personable level, but I've gone enough now that they know who I am professional wise in terms of they never have to worry about me not paying. If I ask them, hey, can I purchase this right now, but make a payment to you this Friday after payday, it's never an issue. You build up that rapport with them, and it gives you a little bit more leeway. I know, for instance, that if they know you and you built up that relationship, Joe from 360 Comics, James from Mint Hunter Comics will absolutely, like I said, if they know you, let you work off some kind of payment plan with the big boy books. Now, in addition to that, making it so that you have nothing credit-wise you have to worry about, it is just you, them, whatever you agree to pay off how much in what given time frame. It works out for everybody as long as you actually pay it. Because these are people that are making a living. Most of them, a lot of their money is coming through. They have regular jobs, but they're banking on a lot of this money that they're doing in their side business of selling comics to support their families, have that little bit extra. So if you agree and you work out a deal with these people to do a payment plan, it is up to you to follow through and do that payment plan and fulfill it. If you quit after 1 or 2 payments, there's no guarantee you're going to get that money back, nor necessarily should you, because you've committed to buy this, they've had that book off the market. But I myself, I don't know if I've actually had a payment plan with anybody before, because usually I go my PayPal credit route. But that is a good option for somebody that's looking to get some bigger books and they don't want to dip into the credit, they're worried about the credit. Build a relationship with some of these people. Like I said, I recommend YouTube only. That's just because what I do. I don't do as much Instagram buying, and I don't know if it's that easy to build that same relationship. A few of the people I mentioned have Instagram live sales, like claim sales. I know, like I said, Future Past Vintage Collectibles, they do. Joe from 360 Comics, he does. So you can kind of get that interaction and build up that rapport in those live events. Just anybody that's strictly like an eBay, or not an eBay, an Instagram seller that's just going off their listing selling, might be a little bit harder to get that going. You can always DM them, message them, but it's a little bit different when it's not like a semi one-on-one live and you know they're actually getting it. You're communicating a little bit more. And another little trick, if you are somebody that is open to, like I said, PayPal credit, this is what I've been doing lately for a lot of the bigger books you guys have been seeing. A lot of times, if I go on eBay, and there's one I've been watching a bit, if it's someone that makes an offer to me, because a lot of times when you first start watching an item, depending on how long they've had that book up, they can send an offer to you. And especially right now, where it really is more of a buyer's market, most of the books I start watching, it does not take long before I receive an offer from whoever that seller is. Doesn't necessarily mean it's an offer I'm going to go for. It could be a cheap book, or it's only $20 off of a $1,200 book, in which case, if I decided I need to spend $1,220, the $20 off isn't going to make me want to spend that right now, rather than just waiting until I'm ready for it. But a lot of times that will be when I get some of my best deals, especially if when they send their offer, there's a counter offer option in there. because that's something they manually have to do unless they have eBay automatically sending it out. If when I sell some of my books and I rotate them out, if I send you an offer, if you're watching my item, I can choose if I want to just give you an accept or decline option, or if I would like to give you a counter offer option. And typically it depends how long has the book been sitting, how much do I need money, how incentivized am I to sell that book. So that's kind of your in a little bit. When you first see some books, look up what they are. Even if you think it's a little bit more than you want to spend, watch that book because that person might give you a much bigger deal. A, because where it is priced high, they know it's priced high, and because it's priced high, it's been sitting a little bit longer than some of the other guys, and they are more apt to want to make that deal with you, so they'll give you a better one, or give you that in with the counter offer option. Something else that I've discovered recently that, like I said, I brought this up because the book that I've most recently have purchased, that you guys haven't seen yet, what I wanted to do is, I saw a book that was posted on eBay. It had buy it now. It did have a make an offer option. I wanted to make an offer, but the problem right now is I didn't want to shell out how much money the book was for if they accepted that offer. eBay right now, I don't know if you guys know this, if you make an offer, you cannot use any of like the PayPal credit or the pay in four options I mentioned. It has to be either a card or I think your straight PayPal account linked but with money in it. I don't believe they give you that PayPal credit option. So a lot of the books I've been watching that I think I could get a really good deal on, I couldn't make an offer on them because if they accepted that offer, I wouldn't be able to pay it how I wanted to pay it. So what I did in these last couple instances is if you go down at the bottom, there's a contact seller option. I will message them, hey, do you have a best offer on this item that you had in mind? I'll just kind of open a line of dialogue, get the ball rolling, see what they say. If they say yes, and if they give you an offer there, a lot of times they won't send through an official offer. They will just write that offer in their note as they respond back to you. If it's anywhere around what you were looking for, or at least you know you can work from that, this is what you do. You get them to say, all right, you agree to that price. Ask them to submit an official eBay offer to you. Because while you cannot make an offer, and if they accept it, pay with your PayPal credit, if somebody makes an offer to you and you accept it, you can 100% use your PayPal credit. So I've got a lot of my big books cheaper than were listed because of offers made, and I used my PayPal credit, which allowed me to break it down into 2 or 3 payments. Like I said, already had the money where I could have bought the book outright. I just want to be more comfortable breaking it down more manageable, so if life throws out a $1,200 tire payment, I don't feel like, man, I spent way more this week than I was prepared to. Things are going to be a little tight. It makes you a little bit more comfortable. Another thing I've run into is that if they've either sent an offer out to a group of people, or just maybe they don't know how to send that initial offer if it's not an option, because that happened with my most recent book. This seller was extremely patient, and he worked with and communicated with me more than any seller has. I reached out to him. I said, hey, do you have a best offer in mind for this item? They responded with, yes, I do. This is the lowest I could do based on what it sold for. I liked that price. So I requested to them, could you send through to me an official eBay offer? Because, and I let them know straight up on why I was asking this, because I would prefer to pay with PayPal credit. You get your money paid in full up front, but it allows me to break it down, make it a little bit more manageable on my end. They tried to send it, but they did not know how to send an offer out. I don't know if, again, if they had one sent to other people, and it will make you wait, I believe, until that has timed out before they can. So I told them, next tip, this is what I'm going to do then. If you can't figure out how to send the offer, that is great. I am going to send an offer to you way lower than what you just said. And then in the messages, I want you to counter that offer, because this is the other way it works. If they do not accept your offer and they send you a counter offer, it's the same thing where you can pay with counter offers and accept with your PayPal credit. So this poor guy, I made him jump through so many loops. In addition to that, when I went to send him that low offer, he apparently had, when you list a book, you can accept offers, but you can say only accept offers up to this amount. Anything below that, auto decline, auto decline. And he had his auto decline on. So this poor guy or girl, whoever it may be, had to go through, change their settings, make it so they had no minimal offer. And again, I wanted to send a lowball offer. That way, if this actually happened to be a shady seller and they did accept it, it was below the price they gave me. So while everybody seems up and up, never assume they are unless you've dealt with them multiple times, and even then, just cover your bases. So I agreed to them. I sent them a lowball offer. They finally turned off their minimum offers. They countered my offer with the agreed upon price that we had in our messaging, and I accepted, I paid, PayPal credit, we were good to go. They were happy because they just made a pretty big purchase. I was happy because I got an amazing book, pretty big purchase, but I was able again to use that PayPal credit without breaking the bank. So sometimes, and like I said, it comes back to whether it's eBay, Instagram sellers, YouTube sellers, build those relationships, or at least always ask. See if they're open to it. I knew that with all the hoops I made this seller jump through, there was a pretty good chance they were just going to say no, or I was going to look shady on my end, and it wouldn't work out. But what's the harm in asking? If I don't ask, I don't have the book anyway. So you might as well ask and find out. So again, this is just something I wanted to bring up because, like I said, I've been in a lot of claim sales. I've seen and heard a lot of people mentioning credit, and I know that they were using it in kind of not necessarily the wrong way, but I could tell some people were stretching themselves thin. And the other thing tough when you're doing the claim sale buying, it's kind of like if you're at a grocery store. If I go to the grocery store with a list that I know is $20 worth of groceries, if I stick to that list and come home, we're golden. But if the store is running crazy sales, buy one, get one, 50% off, and I come home having spent $200, but I saved $300, it really doesn't do me any good because I just spent $200 instead of $20 on items that weren't on my list, so I probably didn't need them anyway, and I didn't take away from my initial weekly budgeting. A lot of people with the claim sales, that's what you're doing, and I get part of it, is that shipping is annoying, so if you only want one or two books, you want to make it worth it, where if you buy a $7 book, you're not spending $7 on shipping as well, and you spend just as much. So some people want to buy more, break it down, but I do know to an extent, some people are kind of buying more than they should, both because it's so easy to hit claim, and because they already have this much percent off, maybe if you get this many books. And like I said, all of that is amazing if you have the money and you were already willing to spend this much anyway. I'm just cautioning for the people out there that kind of get into the gambling side of claim sales, where you're buying left and right because you got super deals, you save so much money, this book is $500 on eBay, but I just got it for $350, which is a good deal, but if you weren't looking to spend $350, it's not necessarily good for you because now you've stretched yourself more thin than you should have. Sometimes it's worth it to have that patience, track down certain things when you can. And like I said, I was kind of doing that myself a little bit when I got started. When I was first going into claim sales, I saw a lot of books I liked. I figured I was already buying a few, might as well buy a few more. And I was kind of buying left and right, where I was still covered. But even for me, for like what I was looking to spend each week, that started to get uncomfortable, where I had to step back. And in addition to that, kind of realize, like I've mentioned to you guys, there's a lot of bigger books I was looking to get. So I wanted to make this video just to kind of throw out some tips and tricks. I know I've been showing off a lot of bigger books lately, but kind of showing my strategy on how I got those books. In addition to that, what you guys haven't seen, I've also sold, I think it was 7 short boxes of some of my random raw books, and I sold those to Dave and Rachel, again, of Future Past Vintage Collectibles. Made the whole thing super fast, super easy, but I rolled some of that money back into my next purchases. So again, I know a lot of people say trade, 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 get the bigger books, take your small books, trade up for it. And that is great if you already know a lot of people in the community, or if you go to a lot of functions in person, you might be able to find somebody that's willing to. From my own personal experience, where I don't have a lot of that around me, and while I know the people from the claim sales, I don't have a solid personable relationship with any of them. where I know a lot of people doing this are doing it to make money and live off of it. Whereas, yeah, they might like to trade, but I can't really afford to trade because I need the money for the books I have, and I get that. So I found that it's really, really difficult to trade unless you're already in a network of people that are also in a hobby like you. Is the best way I've found is that if you personally know people that are looking for certain books and you're looking for certain books, kind of trading in that circle, and as time goes on, kind of broadening that circle. But for a lot of us, where we do a lot of our shopping online or we go to functions, it's really, really hard because a lot of, like I said, a lot of people, not as many as you would like, are open to the trades. So this is just what I think is a good alternative where, again, do not spend ridiculous amounts of money on credit cards or PayPal credit if you do not have it to cover it. Like I said, and this isn't me telling you how to live your life. It's just some sound advice from somebody that I have been very much on the lower end of life. And where I am now is nowhere near where I started. And to make sure that never happens again, I am much smarter with my job, my money, everything I do. Yes, I have frivolous spending, all the books you guys see behind me, all the books I have coming in. But I would not be doing it if I didn't at least put myself in a comfortable living situation first. And that is what most of this is about. It's kind of a way to show you guys how you can get some of these bigger books without trading away your entire collection for that one book. It's first, both, not just PayPal credit, but in life, build up your credit. I was somebody that very much did everything cash. I had a fear of being in debt because, again, coming from not a whole lot, a big fear of being in debt. I would not buy something unless I could buy it in cash right then and there. I just ignored credit for the longest time. And because of that, I had poor and low to almost no credit for the longest time. So it's taken a lot for me to get where I am now in life, build up the credit that I have, but also not digging myself a huge hole by just spending all that credit more than I should be, getting myself in debt just because I wanted to have a book on my wall. So this is another good option for somebody if you're looking for a bigger book. Build up your credit. Anything you spend, try to pay it off by the end of that month. Keep your credit score low. As your credit goes up, you can comfortably spend a little bit more because then you're not spending as much of a big percentage of that credit each month. But make sure it's also relative to what you have coming in each week. If you are someone that has amazing credit, let's say someone gives you a $10,000 credit limit, but you only have so much coming in, whether it's your job, your expenses, whatever it may be, it's still probably not a good idea to spend those crazy amounts. It's just better to stick with what you can within your means. But if you are able to, PayPal credit, you can get that big book right away, chip away at it as long as you make all your payments within 6 months, no interest. But I still highly recommend paying it off at the end of each month or by the end of each month. That way your credit score is not impacted for the future. So, sorry this was a little bit of a different, long-winded video. It is just a lot of things I've been seeing were things I used to do myself. I thought this might help some people. Like I said, I know I've been showing off some bigger books, and I'm not just dropping crazy amount of money every week. I get a book or two for the cheapest I can, reaching out to sellers, dealers, and then I chip away at that payment. I also will not go and get another big book or two until I have paid that off. While I have the money tucked away in savings, other investments, I don't want to touch it if I can help it. To me, that money is not real. It's in there for a reason. So I try to keep everything hobby related, isolated from the rest. Those purchases paid off at a timely manner. No interest, because if you got a great deal, you didn't really get a great deal. If you took too long paying it off and now the interest is piling on, you put yourself in a debt hole that you probably didn't need, and that deal is now gone. So that's it. I think that's about it. All you guys that actually stuck through the end of this video, thank you very much. If there is anything you think I forgot you'd like to add, let me know down below. And I just wanted to reach out and put this out there for anybody that is looking to just try to get that next bigger book than they've ever gotten in their life and their collection without breaking the bank, putting themselves in a spot they shouldn't have. So thank you guys for sticking out in this video. Until next time.